Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Hi folks, ODN here. Welcome to episode 15 of the 2013 BigFooty BigBrother podcast. It's a little bit bittersweet for us as we go from the highs of a great season to the lows of having to wait until next year to get our next Big Brother fix. With me today, on finale day, her group was drinking celebrity champagne by day and she was a groupie for champagne celebrities by night. It's hello to Mrs. ODN.
Hi guys, how is everyone tonight?
Great.
Oh, how is everyone tonight?
Fantastic.
Sorry, I had to, sorry.
Yep. Okay, don't know what that was, but that might be the champagne still working its way out of the system.
Oh, God.
He has gone from thinking Twisted Ed was a prick while trying to hold his tongue to a Twister-induced salivating tongue while trying to hold his pretty solid morals in check. Hi there, Phantom.
G'day guys, how are we both?
Great.
Pretty good.
That was one of your finest, mate. No doubt about it. You've gotten better as the season's gone on, and that was the cream on the cake.
Oh, I bet you say that to all the hosts.
Indeed.
Guys, let's not beat around the bush.
Yes, that's not.
The winner of Big Brother has been decided, and we're going to announce it, because unless you've been living under a rock, you already know this. Tim has come out the victor. And,
Go Timmy.
Well done, great result. Everybody's happy with that, surely.
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely. The fitting result to the Machiavellian character from the season, the man that caused all the most mischief and the most entertainment. No one else could win it, really.
No, exactly. Well done, Timmy.
Absolutely. No, it's he's been the puppet master, he's been the entertainer.
He entertained us night by night. Didn't hide behind anybody.
Nothing happened.
Was himself every day.
Nothing happened in the house without Tim being in the centre of it. So
good on you, Maggie Noodle.
Sunray.
Yeah.
We've only got one nomination, Rock, left, and it stands loud, strong and proud. There you go.
I wonder if he remembered to take his rocks.
I don't know if his baggage was that heavy, was it?
I don't know.
That'll be interesting.
Might be when I go to check out the house. I might have a look.
Think about the carry-on fee charges for that.
Yeah, I know. Well, each rock. God, I don't know what they would have weighed.
He's got a couple of bucks to pay for his carry-on now. I think he might be all right.
Yeah, well, he said his bank account was in the zeros before, was minus before he came out. So.
And guess what we found out today? That he's actually going to take Ben on a trip. As soon as he gets the money through, they're packing up and he wants to take him to Graceland.
Oh,
to see Elvis, and he said
that's a lovely sentiment.
You know, Ben was one of my good mates in there, and he said he really wants to see it, and he said I said to him, we'll, go. And he's going to take Drew when he gets back on a what?
He's going to take Drew to South America. They're going to go to some sort of Congo exploration or something like that. So that's so
it really pays to be a friend of Tim's at the moment.
Let's be frank. We knew that he wasn't going to invest it in a stock portfolio or play the real estate market. So no. I'm glad that he's finding something productive to do.
He actually said that 250,000 will be gone within a month. So.
I reckon it'll be less than that somehow.
At least he's honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, while we've just talked about the winner, let's have a chat about the finale. Now, I explained in the intro that I was talking about celebrity champagne in there, Mrs.
Yeah,
O'Neill.
Mike Goldman came down early in the morning through the line and gave us a bottle of Moe. Had a couple of glasses with us, and we all had, all sort of took our glasses and raised a glass to the Brotherhood, which apparently is what we are a part of now. And it was really good that he wanted to give something back to the fans that go every single week. So good on you, Mike. Really lovely gesture.
Well done.
Really appreciated it.
But out of curiosity, Mrs. ODN, was it a group of you and a few people that are there sort of every week that he came down and shared that experience with?
Yeah. There's a group of, there's a group of 4 of us that go together. And then when we get there, we meet another group of 4. So there's a group of 8 of us that that go every single week religiously. And of course, we get there early, we line up, we're first at the gate because then we get first choice of our seats, basically. So, yeah, no, it's really good. And, you know, it's just nice to think that he even actually thought about us on finale day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they'll be down there waiting. I might just go and, because on the video he said, I just went down, bought this for my friends, wanted to come back and have a couple of glasses with you. And I just thought it was really lovely.
Real sense of community. That's fantastic, I think.
Yeah, hopefully next year we'll bring Sonia with him.
Yes, and look, our runner-up was Jade, and third place was Tahan.
Yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah, how shocked were you guys when Tahan was the first one out?
I thought Tahan was going to win.
Yep. Look, I backed Tahan to win, and look, I've had a bit of a change of heart in the last 24 hours regarding Jade, and we'll get to Jade a bit later on. But Tahan going first, I had my heart in my throat. I was about to pack up my bat and ball and go home and boycott the podcast, boycott the show, but I was staggered. I couldn't believe it. It makes sense when you think about the voting patterns that we saw throughout the show, but I still couldn't believe it. It still staggered me when it happened.
Yeah, well, at least we know that the voting scenario with her boyfriend didn't really have anything to do with her leaving.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the end, you know?
Yeah, and I think there obviously always probably would have been a bit of an asterisk over her had she been the winner given all the voting scenarios and things that played out. So it was probably a good result overall for the integrity of the show.
Yeah, exactly. And put it this way, it doesn't matter how famous your boyfriend or your girlfriend is or your mother is or your father is. At the end of the day, you're not going to just go vote for somebody because someone famous has told you to do so. I mean, everyone's got their own mind. And everyone's going to go, you know what, I don't really care. If they want me to vote for this certain person, well, I've got my own mind. I'll vote for who I want to vote for. So that's obviously how Australia's played it.
Speaking of famous boyfriends and very high-profile famous boyfriend that you would have thought would have had some media training, did little Davey Reynolds look a little bit uncomfortable on stage?
Oh, did he ever? Fish out of water, chuck him behind a car and get him to drive 200 k's an hour, he's fine. Put him on a stage with a gorgeous girlfriend, he freaks out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially after 101 days away from Tahan, I can tell you what, you would have had to pry me off there with some sort of pair of calipers. You wouldn't have been able to get me away from her.
Well, keep the cameras running and you'll get a different type of show altogether.
Exactly.
Oh, exactly. But it would have been Big Brother up late all over again, only at a prime time slot. Look, he was a little bit staggered, but it could have been the sense of theatre and the sense of the occasion. It was a big finale and obviously a lot of production value, so maybe you just got a little bit caught out.
Yes, Tahan's sister was there on stage and she was very nice and he seemed to have his arm around her a lot.
And the mother, oh my God, she looks like her oldest sister. Especially in real life. She is hot.
Absolutely.
Whew.
Good genes in that family.
Yeah, God.
What do we think about the whole production generally, in general with the finale?
Nothing like last year.
No, it was a lot different. I think that this year it tended to be focused a lot more around the viewers. They were doing a lot of green room stuff, obviously a lot of interaction with the past housemates, a lot of video packages. I think it was really geared towards the viewer at home as opposed to it being about the stars of the show, the housemates themselves, which was good in some ways and bad in some ways. They had some shocking crosses. The one that went to Ben and Layla from last year, that was terrible.
Oh, that was embarrassing. I mean, Layla was so ditzy. She didn't even know what to say.
Even Ben didn't handle himself very well. It was just really schmaltzy and awfully put on. And look, you got to remember, they're housemates. That a lot of them don't have formal media training. They're not the sort of people that you can chuck up in front of a crowd and they're going to perform necessarily well because they didn't perform in the house. They were just themselves. But that was awful. And the horrible product placement for whatever that crap new show Channel 9's doing, that was shoehorned in with no shame whatsoever.
But put it this way, you know, if I was to chuck you and ODN to do that, you know, that cross, you would have done a magnificent job.
Oh,
no doubt.
No doubt about it.
Either one of you.
We would have stole the show and they probably would have canned us just because we made them look bad. But what can you do?
Exactly.
Good chance. Good chance. We are the astute professionals, let's be honest.
Well, we're getting more professional as the week goes on, so.
Podcast by podcast.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, some might disagree, but we don't care what they think.
I don't care if they disagree.
We're still recording, yeah?
Yeah,
let's just check.
We're still recording. Of course we are. They get to hear all this. the ending, the sort of
Very rushed.
Tim's family didn't get to go in the house and see
No,
him
I liked
through the
that.
house.
I liked it. I liked it last year where the families get to go through, and it's more monumental and it's more sentimental when they do it like that.
Yep.
This year, pathetic. Come on, Channel 9.
They seem to have a bit of a confetti malfunction where it would probably, a little dribs and drabs.
Well, I was there. I did see the confetti shoot from the front of the stage, but obviously the cameras weren't picking that up.
When Tim walked out?
No, when the group went up on stage and did their little lantern dance.
That's at the start. That's at the start, though.
Yeah.
That was terrible as well. Just
right, they put their lanterns down. They stood on stage like they'd finished. That's when all the guns of silver confetti was shooting from the front of the stage. I'm not sure how the cameras picked that up. Obviously not.
But that's not for Tim.
At the end, they had all these buckets on top of the roof above us, and they were filled with confetti. But funny enough, the one that didn't work on the stage and the others didn't work. So that was supposed to come down at the end of the show. It didn't happen.
So somebody was down below pulling a string, hoping to tip a bucket of confetti on him, and it didn't work. Broke the string or something.
I think we saw overall a lot of the symbolism from last year and in previous years with picking up housemates on the way out, having a bit of a chat. That sort of survivor ritual of, being able to connect with the housemates on the way out, and even having the housemates' families and all that. That's all stuff that's for the housemates. And this year, none of that was done because I guess someone from Channel 9 made the decision that from a production point of view, it didn't translate well for television. I tend to disagree. I enjoyed it immensely last year. I still think they did a good job this year, and it was, it's the same as the Logies. It's 20 minutes worth of entertainment packed into a 3-hour television show. So parts of it are going to drag on and be dull, but I thought it was okay overall. It looked like they spent a lot of money on it, that's for sure.
It looked like they ran way too far over time, and they hastily arranged a guard of honour, whipped them out onto stage, said congratulations.
That was a late night. That was a last moment decision, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when as you said, you're spending time doing pointless crosses to, former housemates and getting this year's housemates to vote for who's going to win Big Brother.
After Tahan had already been evicted.
With Tahan, one of the options, after she had been evicted and was watching them vote.
And she won their vote.
She won. So Tahan is the winner of Big Brother. Sorry.
No, that's right. That's not how it works. That's awkward.
No, I know. Sorry. God, we're still recording. Oh, geez. Sonia made a call to about Ed. Made it, on stage. Said to Ed, asked Ed if when Jay gets out, if he's going to say those 3 words. And we all know what those 3 words are, don't we?
I love cash.
Dollars.
Ding, 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 ding.
But just a quick one on Sonia. She's the best looking 147-year-old I've ever seen in my life. My God.
She's holds
I would turn lesbian for Sonia.
Wow.
I would turn lesbian for Sonia. Hang on.
Yeah,
is that necessary? No?
I don't
I don't know.
I'm confused this year, Phantom. I don't know how these things work anymore.
I don't know how her dress looked on TV, but I'm telling you, being there, seeing it, was so seductive and sexy. She has the best dancing. Well, she used to be a dancer, so she's got the best legs I've ever seen, and they seem to go forever.
Yeah. Look, okay. Because it's our last show and the season's over, it's only prudent for us to have a look back at the housemates and
a quick look back,
a quick look back at the housemates and some of their positives and their negatives, highlights or lowlights, as it were. So look, we certainly don't want to spend too long dwelling on each person. So
no, please don't.
Let's do some of them in bunches of 3, hey?
Yeah, that's good.
Sharon, Xavier, and Rohan.
Sharon, Zav and Rohan. Well, Shaz only really had one highlight, the awkward night that she spent in the presidential suite with Ed, and that was weird, and then she was gone, and I think that we all had the same sentiments on her, that they're probably going to continue to cuss mums in the show. Don't bother. No one really wants to see them, and they get booted anyway. We had Zav, who I think would have been a fantastic housemate if he had have gotten just a little bit more time in the house. He second-guessed himself. He had a little bit of a teary when he got nominated, which, mate, you just can't do that. You lose a lot of respect and a lot of man points with him and that sort of stuff, and I think that was the reason that he got booted. And Rohan, the highlight that I'll always have for Rohan was he had the opportunity to sit in a bath with Tahan and he didn't do it. So
shame on you, Rohan.
No respect for the man whatsoever.
He's been Xavier and Rohan have done their best work outside the house. They've tweeted up a storm and shown that they are very, very funny guys. So good work for not pouting about their early evictions and supporting the show all the way through.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
I think Xavier for sure would have been the housemate, and we all sort of said in the early podcast we could see him going a long way. I backed him as a smoky to win it, and I think that he was the one that all of us could have probably related to the most. He was fairly witty, he was an affable guy, but he just probably wasn't quite extroverted enough and didn't have the voting base, but he certainly was one of the more relatable people in the house.
He wasn't a muscle man, and he certainly wasn't a beauty queen. So
no.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Jazz and the two male intruders that came in, Justin and Nathan.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow. Well, Nathan, the less said the better. I'm not going to waste any breath on him except saying that I'm pretty sure I saw it in the newspaper the other day. He's been awarded his Purple Heart and he's in line for his Congressional Medal of Jesus for his brave sacrifice that he made. What a muppet.
Selfless. Absolutely selfless.
Brave, courageous, chucking any other plaudits you can think of. You're a flog, Nathan.
Did I ever tell you you're my hero?
Oh, God.
And look, Justin was along the same line. There was obviously a lot of controversy about whether he really did get evicted or whether he got booted out for an altercation with Ed. And he didn't get invited to the finale. So a lot of controversy. Was he actually brought in as a housemate? Was he brought in purely to stir things up? I'm not too sure. But look, he was ineloquent. He didn't go about what he was supposed to do in the right way, and he got booted probably more for that than anything. And Jazz, the lipstick queen of the Big Brother house, who pashed him and apparently had bad breath and had a little war with Jade over Ed, the muscle man. And yeah, I think she would have been good if she had stuck around a little bit longer. We saw her come out of her shell in the last couple of days in the house, but unfortunately her cards had already been played.
Yeah, she was, the flirtations with Big Brother in the eviction chamber were great, and the pashing, and she seemed like a genuinely nice person, but she became very bitchy and she made the mistake of taking on Tim.
Exactly right.
And it cost her dearly. And
everyone else that crossed the man fell on their sword eventually, so.
We note Justin wasn't invited to the finale, and we spoke about some controversy which we won't go into because we don't know whether it's true or not, but it was a bit strange not seeing somebody who was in the house for the best part of the week not go. Let's jump to one of the best housemates. I know this is out of order, and you probably think we should leave the house. Mr. Clooney.
Ah, the dog.
The dog.
The most entertaining one in that house, I think, by a country mile. Other than Tim, he was fantastic. Digging in a sandpit, sitting on.
You know what? I'm sorry, I have to say this. If you want to have a dog in Big Brother, right? Why don't they have
we had a few
Big
dogs
Doggy and put all dogs in a little kennel, and then we can evict them one by one. Dogs don't deserve to be in Big Brother.
That's actually been raised. Have 14 dogs all playing around in the sand pit, and people
you know what?
watch
That's fine, and all the RSPC lovers out there can watch it. But for me, yeah, it was a cute dog and all, but really, I think just stick with the housemates.
Were you not a fan of Mr. Clooney?
No, not really. I don't like those dogs. I like the fluffy dogs. I have a fluffy dog.
Mr. Clooney provided more highlights than half the housemates.
Oh God, I don't like those short-haired dogs.
He was an absolute classic. He was a crack up, that dog, and I swear he's got brilliant comic timing.
Oh God,
he was Tim in animal form for mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim in animal form. That's funny.
Let's talk about two of the muscle men, Caleb and Matt.
Caleb,
Matt had a massive bromance in the house.
Yeah, they even kissed.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we need to add context? No, probably not.
Not at all.
I think we should.
Caleb adds his own context every night, so.
Yeah, no, we're not. There was no accident in that kiss. That's how the gods wanted it.
Yeah.
A little bit dull, and that's probably what brought about their undoing. They did tend to conspire against him a little bit too, and that cost them.
Don't ever conspire against Tim.
Any particular highlights or lowlights of those two, Phantom?
I was a fan of Matt calling Tully out on her constant negativity. I was glad that someone finally did that, and I love Tully, unabashed fan of Tully's, but I think it was good that someone said it. Obviously, the Caleb and Matt kiss and the bromance in general was pretty funny. Caleb communicating mostly through grunts and nods was pretty funny as well, because that was just how he rolled. And look, they were two of the, I wouldn't necessarily say the bigger personalities in the house, but certainly early on they were two of the pillars for everyone to sort of, get themselves around. Matt was sort of, I guess, the father figure in the house that everyone went to. So probably went at about the right time and certainly shook the house up when they did go. I think everyone thought they were a lot more popular than they were. So.
But, Kay, just talking about Caleb, did you hear him on stage the other night? He spoke so fast, my head was jumbling from side to side. I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
How speaks like this? Like he speaks really fast. I'm like,
yeah, he has a tendency to do that. He's not very articulate, and I think that probably comes from, he's a Phillip Island boy, I think, from memory, so probably spent a lot of time down at the beach. And
I think putting out all those fires, like too much smoke has got into his brain. You know what I mean?
Oh, look, we won't hear ill of our fireys. We love all our fireys, and we love our soldiers too. So Matt and Caleb are heroes in that on that score. But they on a Big Brother house score, they really didn't add a lot. We did see a very uncomfortable hookup between Caleb and Lucy at one stage. That was the most unnatural looking pairing that I've seen in a while.
Look like kissing cousins, as I said at the time, and it hasn't gotten any less weird with time. So.
Well, Caleb looked more passionate when he was working out.
Yeah, he did. Actually, Caleb's workout face is something that will haunt me in my nightmares for the rest of my life.
True that. Oh, look, let's have a quick chat about our female intruders, Madeline and Boog.
Boogsy was fantastic, really dynamic, and I feel for the girl, because I honestly think if she had have come in as an intruder a few weeks earlier, or even come in as a fully fledged housemate, she would have been a legitimate chance to go all the way, or at least be sitting there on the last couch with Tim. She was great.
Well done, Boog.
She's a foil to Tim in so many ways, and she just about brought down his game in the house.
Really?
I reckon she nearly did.
She was the only one that could come near him, and
Tim knew that too. Tim knew it.
She brought out a side of Tim that nobody liked, and it really did rock him, and it did look like it was going to cost him. So.
Oh, absolutely. And just you think about the highlights of her that you can name sort of just off the top of your head.
Weeing on the peas.
Weeing on the peas, weeing in the pool, farting on Tim's pillow. She had so many highlights for someone that was there for such a short amount of time, and that's what you want from your intruders.
And so clumsy. All the footage of her getting hit in the face by balls and getting knocked over and falling over, and it was...
And such a great nature in the way that she took all the jokes and all the ribbing. She played it up and had a bit of fun with it. She was fantastic. Maddie, on the other hand, not so much. A little bit duller. Fell in with the dull very, very quickly. The oldest looking 24-year-old on the planet.
She has one top of teeth veneered and the bottom half not, and just stuck up.
Well, look, that about covers it, about sums it up for me. But Boog did fight off a couple of, did survive a couple of housemates that she had no right to beat, not been in there very long. So kudos to her. She ended up coming 5th overall. So
well done, Boogs.
Yeah, well played.
Good on her. Michaela.
Good on you, Michaela. I love you, Michaela. Meow.
She was one of your favourites, Mrs.
I loved her from the beginning, and everyone used to, run her down, and I'm just like, give her a break, she's a really smart girl. I really like her.
Yeah, look, the first couple of podcasts, I've got to front up and say I didn't like her, hated her voice, still hate the way she spells her name. But I turned around on Michaela. She wound up being a lot of value in the house. I still think she was annoying. I think she would have been horrible to live with. But she was a lot of fun for us to watch. And no one in the history of probably any reality TV show has had as charmed a run as she had in terms of, getting saved and having immunity and having this and having that. But she was fantastic. She took on people when she needed to take them on. She was articulate enough to do it well, and I enjoyed watching her in the house. She was a good housemate.
Well, I've got a bit of gossip if anyone's interested.
About Michaela?
Yes.
Absolutely.
She's, it's, even though I've heard it from a certain source, she's going to, apply for MasterChef.
Ah.
She could take Ben on and they can make veggie patties together.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? She loves cooking in the house.
Oh, look, apart from being outspoken, Michaela's also going to be known for having probably the most pent-up sexual tension I've ever seen.
Her boyfriend would have copped it when she came out.
Sorry, what was that, Phantom?
The most sexually frustrated housemate we've ever seen. So much pent-up sexual tension.
And that stick-on dildo story, I'll never forget.
Oh, please don't mention that.
I think that's going to stay with her for a very, very long time. I can see her cruising. Where does she live again? I think she lives is she Sydney or a Melbourne girl?
No, she's Sydney. She's,
no, she's
where Heidi comes from. Newcastle.
Oh, so she'll be cruising down the main street in Newcastle and you just have someone crying out, "Where's the suction cup?"
That's so funny.
In her defence, it'll probably be me doing that. So.
Yeah. Well, that goes without saying.
Exactly.
Let's have a chat about one of the favourites.
Benny boy, I love you.
Benny boy. Mrs. ODN's probably got a lot to say about Ben.
I love Ben, and you know what? Like, even though I love Ben, I would have been so happy if he had still been in there and all that and whatever. And just a funny thing, actually. And I know that, I rant and rave on sometimes. I'll try and make this as short and sweet as possible. But the other night, it was the night before the finale, I had a dream. And this dream was the fact that Tim won. And in this dream, when Tim went up to the stage to get his money, well, it was a dream. So, Tim wanted to call Ben up on stage and said, "I want to give half the money to Ben because this is what's rightfully his." Then, blow me down, today I find out in an interview that I heard Tim speak of in the interview, Tim saying he was going to take Ben to Graceland. Just lovely. You know what I mean? So even though, my dream didn't come true, it kind of still came true because Tim's doing something nice for Ben. I just think it's lovely. I just love him. He's such a lovely boy.
I don't want to drag it down because we did love Ben. He was a fantastic housemate, and I think he had the most growth in terms of the journey that he went on as a person and emotionally on the show. But
be careful what you say, Phantom.
I don't reckon I've ever seen anyone more inept at everything that he did in my life. So he's just not very good at anything. He's a lovely person. I think he's probably one of the nicest people you would ever want to meet, but he's just terrible at everything.
Yeah, no, probably, yeah.
Well, he's good at putting on heterosexual voices.
Yeah.
How about we chuck those kids in daycare for about a year?
Yeah.
And what did he call what was his name when he was like that? Mick. Was it Mick?
Mick or Keith?
Yeah, it was something like that.
I don't know.
My name's Mick. I think it was Mick.
Yeah, it was funny, and he did have some funny moments when he did that. But his awkward moments were probably the funniest, such as when Drew and Tully are having a very in-depth, tense conversation outside, and he couldn't get away. He was stuck in the pool, and he had to hear this little voice go, "I'm in the pool." He's just hiding behind that little central thing. And then he come back out later on. He said, "I'll just get my water bottle." And he cracked them up and broke the tension, something chronic. So,
Mr. Magoo with all the class and timing in the world. He was fantastic. Look, he was a fantastic housemate. He's just so bad at everything. You couldn't help but love him. And
Michaela was crying over an altercation with Tahan, and he walks in and he says, "I didn't like Katie and Lucy's act either."
Yeah. And obviously probably the most heartwarming moment in the whole show is his time with Bert and Paddy. I thought that'd be terrible. I thought it'd be schmaltzy and I'd absolutely hate it, but it was nice to see him get that. I think he's a genuinely lovely person.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
It was.
Next up, have a chat about, now I'm sure this is one of everybody's favourites. Well, certainly some people on Big Footy. How you going? Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed, oh, Jesus. Look, I don't like Ed. I'm not going to sit here and try and talk him up and pretend like I've had a backflip or a change of heart on him. I think he's a prick. I think he treated people really poorly in the house. I think he's selfish. But having said all of that, I'm glad he was in the house. He was the perfect foil for Tim, and he wanted to be the knight in shining armour, but he became the villain on the show. And it's amazing because I trawled back through 200 and something odd pages worth of comments. You go back to the start, everyone wanted to see Ed go a long, long way and enjoyed watching Ed and thought he was going to be fantastic and hated Tim. And it was interesting to see the dynamic shift so massively in the house to turn Ed into the villain because of the way that he treated Jade and the way that he basically treated everyone as disposable assets that he could use to try and get his way through the game, and watched Tim turn that around and basically turn a mirror on him for everyone to see. He was a necessary evil, and he was a very, very good villain. So
yeah, and what an idiot.
It needed him in the house.
I've got a deck of cards I'm going to play at the end. Oh, whatever, loser.
The worst poker player in the world, that man.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
God, that was so annoying.
Yeah, look, he was a great dancer.
Oh, I don't care what he was.
He was a great dancer. He had a great rig. And look, to be fair, the storyline with Jade was compelling. We all watched it. We were all captivated to see what happened. But I just don't think he's a good person. I think he's selfish, arrogant, and frankly, pretty nasty to people that can't do anything for him. But as I said, I'm glad he was on the show. We needed someone like that. Otherwise, it would have just been Tim 24/7. We needed someone to play a foil.
Yeah. In fairness to Ed, he was probably torn between his game and his growing relationship between Jade. He had a need to appear single to the outside world because of a little voting scam they had going, basically. And that probably kept Jade at arm's length and kept it very confusing. So we're still none the wiser as to where those two are going to end up. But they are friendly on the outside and have made some public appearances together and stuff. So,
look, everyone for this time is going to be friendly on the outside. People were sort of talking the other day about Drew and Ed potentially being friends, and I can tell you that there is absolutely buckleys of that happening. There'll be.
Don't know where that came from.
Oh, it was a comment on the boards, and I don't know where that theory came up with either. But at the moment, they're all going to be in the honeymoon phase and all be each other's best friends. It'll be in 3 to 6 months' time when you'll see who still really is around.
Next up, we had the Sugar Sisters, Katie and Lucy.
Little cupcakes.
They entered the house as one housemate, which is just as well because one of them was amused. What do you guys think of Katie and Lucy?
Oh, that was a sweet little thing.
I nearly fell off my chair when I think it's Lucy that spoke last night. Is Lucy the one that speaks? Katie, the one that doesn't speak, spoke at the finale. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Well, you sure that wasn't a hand up her back?
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm almost positive that the other one was thrown over. So look, they were sugary, saccharine, syrupy, molasses sweet, and you couldn't hate them if you tried. I desperately wanted to because I can't stand people that positive all the time, but they were just so genuine, so infectious. They pumped up everyone in the house, and you know, they had some great highlights as well. They're continually getting the fake tans, having to have Tahan as one of the Sugar Sisters for the day, the 3 metre rule, the whole thing. They were adorable. You couldn't not love them.
Yeah, and one of the highlights / lowlights, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but the voting, the nominating exchanges that went on between the Sugar Sisters and Tahan, you could set your watch by it every week. It was quite amusing, and Big Brother was quite amused by it and made several little digs about it every week. So
he did. Look, they feuded, and they obviously had Pancake Gate, and they had the issue with when Tahan called one of them dumb, which was incredibly nasty. But they were just so nice, and you could actually see the house drop in its positivity and its attitude when they left.
Yeah, look, the point's being made about the Sugar Sisters that they were a good support network for each other, so they didn't do it as tough as the other housemates probably did.
Oh, definitely.
So you know, they were at an advantage there, so they did go a fair way. But yeah, they were lovely. Look, probably the biggest story of 2013 was the relationship between Tully and Drew. Very strong housemates in their own right, but together, oh geez, did they get tongues wagging.
God, yeah.
Look, I am an unabashed, huge fan of Tully's. I loved her in the house. I loved the drama that she brought. She was up and down. She was all over the place, you know, constantly crying, bitching, moaning. And then we obviously saw the development of the relationship with Drew, which for me was just captivating. It was the most fascinating and compelling storyline that the house had this year. And, you know, everything else, probably apart from Tim as just a person, as a whole storyline into himself, that was what I was watching it for every week. You know, I was shattered to see her go. And, you know, I love Drew as well. He was a great housemate. I probably would have liked to have seen him win as much as Tim, because I think that he provided a hell of a lot. He was gossipy. He was a bitchy, backstabbing person, but he was very articulate, very funny, very composed, and exactly what you want to see in the house. He said and did what all of us would want to do if we were him.
Absolutely. He had some interesting things to say about Ed.
Oh, did he ever? He was beautiful mind, and he was not entertained. Drew had some fantastic quips in the house and a lot of pop culture references which probably flew over some people's heads, but he's a very, very smart, intelligent guy. And obviously we had, you know, the highlight of Drew, and the thing that everyone loved about him was those baby blues. You could just get lost in those bad boys, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I did. I still do. I've been following it on Twitter. And I'm very jealous of the relationship they got going, but I'm not sure which one I'm jealous of.
Oh, nor am I. It's just, you could, you know, chuck me on either side of the fence there, I'd be a happy man.
They're a beautiful couple.
They are indeed. Look, the drama that was there from their relationship it was so dynamic, and it created so much, and it had everybody in the house talking, it had everyone in Australia talking, and I loved it. I think they were the power couple in there for mine, and I loved every single second of what they...
Yeah, so did I.
Well, and it was because of Tully that
and I never liked Tully, but I tell you what, I really like her.
Yeah.
No, you did a huge backflip on Tully, didn't you?
I know, massive backflip.
Well, it's because of Tully that the term emotional hijacker has now entered the Australian vernacular. So, you know,
being published in the Oxford next week, from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the best task moments of the season came from Tully and Drew after Tully had been evicted. They had a freeze task, and Tully got to enter the house and lay one on Drew. Now, as we probably neglected to mention in our little summary there, that Tully's relationship on the outside broke up as a result of her liaison with Drew. And she entered the house and kissed him while he couldn't move, and told him that she was single, and it was compelling television.
Yeah, it was just fantastic, and you know, as Drew described it as a Hollywood moment, it was for a show that is not scripted, and for a show where, you know, you're taking housemates' reactions on face value. That was fantastic. It was one of those ones that everyone just sat there glued to the TV with a jaw on the floor, waiting to see what was going to happen next. Yeah,
and Drew, for his part, he was part of Big Brother's first ever fake marriage when he came in the house, which was a good storyline that Big Brother ultimately ruined, but it was still very nice while it lasted. So he had some very good, very strong storylines, and very strong as an individual to keep him going. And frankly, Drew's just a rock star.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Anthony Drew is the Richie Sambora to Tim's Bon Jovi.
Yeah, and they're cutting loose on the outside as we speak. Okay, moving right along, we come down to our final three. Our second runner-up. All I can say here is. She wore an itsy-bitsy teeny yellow polka dot bikini, and boy, is she remembered for it. What do we think of Tahan, guys?
I'll let you go first, Mrs. ODN, because let's be honest, I have no bad words to say about Tahan. I loved her.
No, I just, thought she could be a little bit nasty at times, but, look, so did I suppose all of them in there, I would have liked to have seen her in the final two rather than Jade, but that's just my opinion. But, you take over. Pass it on to you. Go on, boys. Have your talk.
I adored Tahan. I adored everything that she did. She's absolutely gorgeous to look at. She was genuine. She was real. And I think that probably other than Ben, she had the biggest emotional journey in the house, in that she realised that you can't be And as Mrs. ODN said, she was nasty to a fault at times, and it was horrible, some of the things that she said. And I think that she was a person that realised that she could grow from the situation that she was in, and you can't behave that way all the time. And I think she actually took a lot of that on board. We saw her almost go to ground for the better part of 3 or 4 weeks during the middle section after quite a big blow up with Michaela and with the Sugar Sisters, where I think she realised that she alienates people because sometimes it is better to hold your tongue. And I think that she's going to be a better person for the experience of Big Brother.
Absolutely. We also saw her refuse to go to ground while playing a game of Twister, and God bless her for that.
Oh, my. She deserved what she wound up with a bit of prize money, and she deserved every single cent of it just for that. That was fantastic.
Yes, it was. It was.
I need a cold shower, guys.
Yeah, look, Tahan, what can I say? She was hot. She was bitchy. She was desperately in love with her hairdryer. She had a little bit more substance than she initially showed in the house, and she could certainly dish it out, but she could also take it.
Exactly.
That's a real positive. She did promise very early in the piece that she was going to be showering naked, and I lament Big Brother's decision not to allow 24/7 streaming, or not to have an up late, or show a little bit more on the feast, or uncut, I think it used to be, because she indeed did shower naked and washed Benny's back for him, and he failed to respond. Which means he passed the test. He was gay. So
yeah, but just a quick note. We know that our podcast has far and reaching audience, and that we have quite a bit of power. So, Big Brother executives, if you're listening to this, Tahan is the reason that you have an up late segment. Just do an hour and a half of her once a week, showering in the spa, whatever you like. I don't really care. Just even if it's only an hour, that's all you have to do, and you will have, I guarantee you, at least 500,000 more viewers a week.
Yeah, absolutely, not wrong about that. Even Jade lost the top for one shower that we never got to see that. So
Jade, Tully, even Jazz. Jesus, for a while there, I probably would have taken Heidi.
Yeah. I understand the fact. I understand why we didn't get to see Drew showering naked, because not everybody has a widescreen, if the rumours are correct, coming from the female housemates.
Oh,
Tully, yeah.
Tully, she's lucked out, hasn't she, that girl?
Well, she does have a fairly, I was going to talk about her walking gait, but it's fine. We'll just move right on. Oh, look, that brings us to Jade. She's, again, she was formerly, she was on Italy's Next Top Model.
Who cares?
Gorgeous girl. She formed a relationship with Ed to become Jade Ed, and she was sexy when she spoke Italian. What do you guys think of Jade?
Yeah, I've done a bit of a backflip on Jade in the last 24 hours, and it might be the honeymoon period and basking in the glow of Big Brother and loving all the housemates just a little bit more, but I think at the end of the day, the reason that she came second, and it's a thing that you can't argue with, is it's a vote from the Australian public. They liked her because she formed genuine relationships with people in the house. And you mentioned this just before when we did our previous podcast, that you can have people in the house that aren't necessarily the most entertaining, that aren't necessarily the most dynamic that everyone's going to want to watch, but they can just be genuine people. And I think that's what Jade is. She's a genuine, lovely person. I think she probably garnered some sympathy votes because she obviously finally got to see the way that Ed had treated her and the things that he'd said about her. And I think the less said about Ed, the better. And I'd love to see how that relationship continues now and the dynamic of it, because I feel like Jade's probably grown a little bit more spine outside the house. But she came second, and that was the place that she deserved to be in. It was the place that she was voted into, and I still don't think she was fantastic. I still don't think that she was as entertaining as anybody else in the house, but she was just really, really lovely.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up. She didn't have an awful lot of highlights. She did have a compelling storyline with Ed, but apart from that, she's just a nice girl.
I will say that the girl can dance the hell out of a palm tree.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, to be a palm tree on that occasion. Yeah, so, look, there's no doubt that her and Ed will make a beautiful Dancing with the Stars combination. Look, there's, have we forgotten anybody? Mrs. ODN, was there anybody that we've missed out? I think we've discussed all the housemates. Anybody?
If we haven't, they weren't remember. We weren't meant to remember them anyway.
Just checking to see who's paying attention. The winner of Big Brother was Tim. Let's have a quick look at some of his highlights and lowlights, shall we? Does anyone want to go first?
I would.
Go for it.
I would like to read this out because this sums up Tim's experience in the house for me.
Okay.
He doesn't have a rich family or friends. He hasn't scammed for votes. He hasn't hid behind alliances to get him through the game or relied on his looks. He's been honest from the start, intrigued us with his game strategies, showing us it's okay to be flawed. He's made us laugh out loud, cry with compassion, and even want to knock some sense into him. But most of all, he's entertained us night after night and made Big Brother 2013 fun to watch. That's Tim in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Well done, Tim.
Beautiful sentiment. No, exactly the same. There's not a lot more you can say. Look, I don't want to canonise the bloke because at the end of the day, he won a reality TV show. He's not Mother Teresa. But I honestly think that he's had a fantastic influence on, one, the Big Brother show, which I'll get to in a second, and two, the Australian public. We saw him go in as a misfit. He was loud. He was obnoxious. People didn't like him. In the first couple of weeks, going back through the posts on the board, everyone wanted him gone, and a lot of people thought that he would be gone. And he didn't. He persevered. He was himself. He was true to his character the whole way through. He let us in on a lot of things that he didn't let the housemates in on, which, was a fantastic strategy, I think, to some degree. But at the end of the day, he turned a mirror on everyone in that house. At one point or another, he confronted everybody and basically made them say, yes, I have flaws. If there was a downfall of Tim, if there was a thing that I didn't like about Tim, it was probably that he could identify his own flaws, but he didn't like it when other people did, and he didn't like having the joke turned back on him. But look, two words can sum him up for me, and that's he's a flawed genius. He was absolutely brilliant in this game. He was Machiavellian. He brought in chaos and humour and laughter and genuine compassion as well to so many.
No, exactly. I think back to basically early in the piece when he got on with Ben very, 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 very well. The minute that he could see Ben being a threat, because I think sort of Tim stood back and, when Ben was up for nomination and then he wasn't getting evicted and he could hear the crowd screaming for him and that, I think Tim sort of started to back off from Ben then thinking, oh, hang on, Ben's a real contender here to win it. Then when he left, I think that really shocked the pants off Tim. And then basically the same thing with Boogs, when he knew that Boogs was the only one that could actually ruin him and take him down, that's when he started backing away from her.
Yeah, and look, for all the hilarious moments that Tim had, and he had so many you couldn't count them, one moment that really sticks out to me was he had a moment with Ben where Ben got quite upset talking about how he had nothing to leave. He didn't want to leave the house because he had nothing to go back to, and Tim consoled him and comforted him and said, you've got us. You're always going to have us. And I just think that is Tim to a T. He's genuine and he understands people, and he was just a fantastic character for the show, and the long-reaching impact that I think he'll have on Big Brother as a show is that I think they'll keep the vote to save, not just because of the fact that it created so much more money for them, but because Tim's the sort of person that vote to save keeps in the house, and he's
exactly.
You want to vote to save someone.
Well, look, I just want to validate something that Mrs. ODN just said about Tim hearing the crowd, calling out for Ben, so backing away from Ben at that time, because there was an article today where Tim had said that he could literally hear the fans willing him on during live crosses to the studio audience and giving him their approval. And every time he was saved, it gave him confidence and encouragement to go harder and stronger. So he was really, really paying attention to what was happening out there, the little snippets that you get. And I guess if the crowd was silent, Tim might not have known how he was playing out there, but he did take a lot of heart. So the fans are really the ones that got him over the line.
Well, that's right. I mean, you got to remember in that live audience, you do have people that are going to boo.
Yep.
And you do hear that, right? But with Tim, there were people yelling out, "We love you, Tim. Love you, Timmy." I mean, he would have been hearing that.
Yep.
Yeah. And he also talks about how he changed tact. he went strategic, and then he realised that he was actually hurting people, and it was causing them to turn against him. So he started playing with his heart a little bit more. So he did change it up based on what was happening around him. So kudos to him. He was a thinking man and did very well. But enough about all the plaudits and how he played the game. What was some of Tim's funniest and best moments?
Oh, the quintessential Tim moment for me was the birthday prank that he pulled, where he told all the housemates it was his birthday and got a lot of privileges for the day, exclusive use of the gym and all the rest of it. And then I think he realised, and it was one of the things that we loved about Tim, he got to a point where he realised he made a gravest error and had no way out of it. And we just watched him sort of sit there going, I don't really know what I'm going to do here. And then he just went out and fronted up about it. That was one of the highlights of Tim for me.
He realised he went too far.
And it's been pointed out that it showed up a few housemates. That very prank exposed Tully. She cracked it. We saw Matt and Caleb cracking a little bit, and
Ed.
Ed cracking it. They very, very negative about what was really a harmless prank. I mean, they didn't get birthday cake. That was about the worst that affected them. So, even when he's trying to be funny, he's actually exposing people for the stick in the muds that they were.
And look, probably the other highlight for Tim and the funniest moment I can honestly say in the house that wasn't provided by Mr. Cleany was Tim and Drew's day spa with Sunray and Windbeam just knocking off a couple of facials, and that was absolutely hilarious.
It was great.
Talking about the knives into Han's back and Tim describing himself as having hair like Maggie Noodles.
Like Maggie Noodle, yeah.
That was so funny.
He also put himself up for eviction. He obviously nominated Tully to a face, by turning around in the soundproof booth and saying, "Did you get that, Tully?" There was some real firsts associated with Tim, things we haven't seen other housemates doing. And he was a nominating Rocks prophet.
The care and time and effort that he must have put into those rocks, and it speaks to the character of the guy and the way that he did it. He was just there was so much forethought in so many things that he did. But I think the moments that I love the most with Tim were the off-the-cuff moments where he just sort of saw something and went, "I want to do that," and did it.
Yeah, look, he was an improv master. He could be on Whose Line Is It Anyway. He's so good at improvising situations.
Yeah, very good.
I
Absolutely.
think we're all in agreement that probably the person that dominated the season the most has come out the worthy winner. So, and it's
absolutely
really good when that happens. So
the most deserving winner. And look, I also think we have to give a huge tip of the hat to the Big Brother producers and Big Brother himself, because he was quite the character this year. But the producers, for the way that they cast it, the dynamics they managed to get in the house, the relationships that were formed, and whether it was deliberate or not deliberate, it was just fantastic. They had such a wonderful balance and mix of people this year that played off each other beautifully well. And we saw the misfits, and we saw the cool kids, and we saw all different sort of interactions amongst the group, and we saw just the right amount of conflict as well. I think Big Brother did a fantastic job with the casting this year.
Absolutely, and you've got to remember the Big Brother is a character in himself, and Big Brother had some classic lines and really added to the comedy and the laughs in the house this year. So
he was fantastic, Big Brother, this year. The deep, powerful voice was almost taken over by the ability to troll housemates just with no mercy at all.
Yeah.
We saw some interesting tasks this year, or interesting twists as well, such as entering the house for the first time. The housemates were divided into two different houses, and one of them being the halfway house. And we hadn't seen that. We've seen variations of separation before, but that was a new thing again. And boy, did it cause some problems.
It was such a fantastic premise, and it worked beautifully. I think they potentially could have done it for a little bit longer. I think the time that they did it for was probably just right in the sense that we saw natural relationships not being formed initially, and then you got to see them take over. But it was just brilliant. The conflict that it created, we saw in the first couple of weeks that it forged a bond amongst the people that were in the halfway house to nominate the people on the other side to make sure they weren't there again. It was brilliant. It was really, really well done from Big Brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the house was on a bit of a low and there was a lot of tension around, Big Brother would pull out a fun task for people to work together on. We saw a boy band and a girl band introduced at exactly the right time, because there was a fair bit of tension around at the time, and it enabled the housemates to bond a little bit. The girls were known as Hot Pants, the boys were known as Mandate, and they each put out a pop song, which got a lot of hits on YouTube. Yeah, so that was a very interesting task in itself, and we can certainly see that there weren't too many genuine singers amongst the housemates.
Oh, Jesus, no. And the only advice I'd have on that was a fantastic task. Loved it. Loved the drama that it created, because obviously that was at a point where Drew and Tully were getting very, very close. But just a tip to the producers, maybe play it once or twice less per show. I was done with about the 30th time, because it was a terrible song. It was shit.
Just terrible.
We also had a fantastic task this year. It was the freeze task. We spoke about it a little earlier when Tully came into the house and surprised Drew, and that was a great part of it. But, gee, it was hysterical, some of the things they did to those housemates with this freeze task. And I love that task, and I'm hoping it remains forevermore.
Absolutely. I think, the other highlight, obviously, other than Tully and Drew in the freeze task, was watching Boog get flown up in a harness in a helicopter. That was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute pisser.
Clowns putting cream pies in their face.
The choir, the nudist group.
The nudist group coming through. Ed's brother Nick coming in and kicking footballs into him. It was all very, very amusing and even emotional when Tahan's mum came in and she broke severely and was crying her eyes out whilst trying to stay still. Very, very funny, very, very touching, very, very well done. Kudos to you, Big Brother. I love that sort of stuff. Very entertaining.
Well said.
Are there any other particular tasks or that Big Brother did this year that you guys were particularly enamoured with?
Look, I enjoyed most of the tasks, to be honest. The one that I would like to see them expand a little bit more on was the most policed task, where I think they could have probably created a little bit more synthetic drama or artificial drama, if you like, and giving them some more sort of controversial topics to judge each other on, because we saw them scrape the surface with, most genuine and most likely to win and stuff. I think they probably could have gone a bit further with that, but I think the tasks overall were really good. Saturday night games, you can flog that off. That was a total and utter disaster.
Yeah. I note that the commentary team was gone after about 2 episodes, was it?
Yeah, 2, yeah.
Terrible. Just no atmosphere to it. I think even the housemates sort of got to the point where they thought it was a bit of a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've probably covered everything that's gone on in the house, so we're going to take a look at what's gone on the BigFooty boards this year. And Phantom's the last few weeks has been running a segment called Comment of the Week, and he's trawled through some 5,000 posts, I believe, to try to find the comment of the year. And you've got a few awards to hand out there, Phantom.
I do, mate. I had a super productive day at work yesterday, but without any further ado, the time has come, the time you've all been waiting for. After 14 shows, thousands of hours of footage, 15 litres of tears, mostly Tully's, 230 pages and over 5,500 comments, it's time to immortalise one poster in podcast gold. Tonight there are a number of categories because we're nothing if not inclusive on the old podcast, but the ultimate glory will be saved to the end. So without any further plaudits or dead air, because that's pretty much what I'm putting out here, here are the winners. So I've broken it into a couple of categories. The first category is the Nostradummas Award for the worst prediction in the show. Ooh. And most of these came from quite early on. We had a couple from a bit later on. But the runner-up for this one was New South Wales Crow, who said quite a while back, talking about Ben, he's as good as got this one, in my opinion.
Ooh, you might want to take that back.
You got that one wrong, mate. You couldn't have got that more wrong. And look, I've got to put my hand up as well and say I thought that Jaden Jaden Drew would last, and I thought Tahan would win. So it's not as if I'm a Nostradamus either. But
you had a shocker of a year prediction.
I had a terrible year with predictions. But our joint winners were Jack Package, who said Tim will be gone in 2 weeks anyway, in about week 1, and Darren Forsman, who said Heidi or Tim for first to Vic D. Well, they were both horribly wrong.
Go and have a good look at yourself, boys.
Yeah, got to shape that one up. Cause if your footy tipping's anything like that, you're going to come dead last. That's for sure.
What have we got up next?
We've got the Crystal Foskett Fake Orbs Award for the best prediction of the year. Now, these ones are people that just got it right, just at the right time. And the second runner-up is our fearless leader and our indelible host, the old Dark Navies, who said, imagine Tully rubbing herself up against Drew and kissing him and him having to pretend she isn't there.
Well, yeah. I was waiting for that to happen, and it did.
It did. You said it a couple of weeks before they even had the freeze task as well, so it was incredibly well played by you.
Oh, look, well done to me. I'm giving myself a pat on the back as we speak.
We all will. There's a little violin playing for you here, and you can come and collect your bubbly in a second, mate.
Do I get that off Crystal, do I? Or?
You do. She's got the orbs out for you, and you can just look into them and see if you can come up with some more predictions.
Thank you very much.
We've got the first runner-up is Vincent Chase, who said, I really hope Jade tells Ed she loves him. The cringe factor would be immeasurable, and it was.
It was, and he said that before she actually did it, he nailed it.
Absolutely straight down the barrel. Well played, Vincent Chase. But our winner is actually the man that created the Big Brother 2013 thread, Hate, who said in week 1, if you can believe it, not too sure about Tully being a lesbian. She seemed to jump quick on this guy. Now, the bloke in question was Matt, but the premise was there.
Yeah, like he saw it early, and wow, don't you love an early call? That was
Brilliantly played. Brilliantly played, Hate. Well done. Next category up is the Centimetre Perfect Award for the most astute observations of the year. Second runner-up is Shell, who got me with this one, because I think we were the only 2 people on the boards that even noticed this. Is it just me, or is the black stuff on his fingernail getting even bigger, talking about Ed and that weird fungus he had under his nail?
Yeah, well, I did notice that. You pointed it out, and I kept forgetting to look, and I had a look, and then I saw that Drew was also painting his nails to pay tribute to Ed, obviously.
Drew was rocking the tribute to Ed, just the single nail, or just being a genuine rock star. But either way, it wasn't that weird fungus thing. But well done, Shell. Thanks for backing me up on that one. I thought I was seeing things for a while. Our runner-up is Tiger Fanatic. Nice and simple, very astute, on the money. I reckon Ben is gay.
I reckon?
I think he might have been right. I didn't... Look, there were some signs that it went the other way, but I reckon it was on the money.
Big call, mate.
Big call. Huge call. And our winner is Barnesy, who simply said, kissing Matt, Caleb's fantasy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt. It's not only that, it's his reality now, so not all our dreams can come true, but Caleb certainly did.
Caleb, he's shacked up with Matt now, from what I understand, and they're in a beautiful little
surf shack on the beach somewhere. Good on you, boys.
People can find true love in that house.
Yeah.
The Piss Off the Bay 13 and Take Your Worthless Opinion With You award. Now, this one actually has a loser and then a reverse winner. The loser is Charcoal Chicken, who wrote, It's not cool to hate on this show. I just hate on it because well and truly died years ago. And the fact that it's still on and there's still dickheads who go on the show and then even more dickheads who watch this dross is astounding. It's a shocking show and a complete and utter waste of time and money. You can piss off Charcoal Chicken, because if you're going to come on the board and say that sort of stuff, someone's going to take you to task. And the winner of this award actually goes to my old sparring buddy, the Fresh Banana, who said, so does that make you the biggest dickhead of all for posting on here?
Well, he might have a point.
He's absolutely right. It could have gone in the most astute awards, but I thought I'd make my own award for Banana just because it was so well played. Yeah,
nicely said, Banana. And we've also got to thank Banana for spending a couple of nights on the podcast here with us and offering up his opinions. You know, we've certainly agreed and disagreed on many things, but he certainly helped us out. He's part of our Big Brother community on Big Footy.
Loved your work, Banana, and I've missed you, mate. I've missed sparring with you. We've got to get you back on. The next award is the So Wrong It's Right award for the least PC comment of the year, and there were some crackers. I think it's fair to say the Big Footy Big Brother board was probably the least PC on Big Footy that I'd seen for quite some time. Our second runner-up was Jack Package, and mate, I completely agree with you on this one. I'd explode in, over and around Tahan.
Well, What can I say to that?
Nothing more needs to be said, mate. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, what's he talking about though, Phantom? Is it explosives? Were we in any danger?
Look, mate, when we get off air, I'll have a bit of a chat with you. I'll pour you a cup of Milo and we'll sit down and go through the birds and the bees. Mate.
Oh, please do.
No worries, mate. I've got you covered.
And Shandy, you had her covered too.
And her covered. I'll leave it there. Our runner-up was New South Wales Crow, who said, you're going to have to bear with me for this one because it's probably the least PC thing anyone's ever said. Tim's a knob, but of course the vegetarian cracks it at him within an hour of meeting him. Why are lesos always angry? Well, I think that in the end we probably saw that Tully was probably more angry because it turns out she's probably not actually a lesbian. But I did love it. It was a great comment.
Do vegetarians only eat vegetables, or
Yes.
do they get to eat other things as well?
Just vegetables.
Well, I mean that's a topic for another. That's a topic for another occasion, I think.
It is. In the end, she was a cocktivore, so it didn't really matter. The winner of the least PC comment of the year, and obviously winning the So Wrong That's Right award, is a bit woofy, who simply said, one look at Heidi and one totally understand why she's on radio.
Oh, yes. And her employers agree because they gave her a promotion. She's on radio even more now.
Exactly right.
They liked what they saw.
They're making sure she stays on radio.
We had the Lemon Chicken Clinger Award, which the owner of this award is Lemon Chicken, who had the comment a couple of weeks ago. I'm glad that Ed being on BB has given some guys the courage to come out on a public forum. Truly inspiring stuff. And that comment was basically because of two gentlemen. The first one, Footy Pie called him out for it. I just realised why. Ed is scared of bananas. The fresh banana has been stalking him. But the winner of this award is undoubtedly the unabashed biggest Ed fan we've probably ever seen. He's, from what I understand, the only Ed fan on the planet, and that's Bax. Ed just seems like a nice guy. I'm not sure why people think he's being fake. I would happily have him as a mate. Now, I'm only assuming that mate is the biological sense of the word, so that's fantastic, mate. I'm very glad that you had the courage to come out. Well played, Bax.
Look, and good luck in your pursuit there, Bax. I hope Ed does befriend you, and he's probably needing a few friends now, so the timing is fantastic.
You guys can be lifelong mates.
Yeah,
the Royal Flush Award for having absolutely no cards goes to Tassie Tiger. Now, this comment came on September 17th, so over 2 months ago now. Ed is big noting himself and how he's got cards to play. It was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't believe that someone called it out that early. I thought we were fairly sharp on the button with the podcast and calling him out on his cards, but Tassie Tiger had it over us in spades.
Yeah, and as we know, Ed wasn't playing with a full deck.
Absolutely not. He was trying to bluff his way through with less than a pair.
Exactly.
No,
the only card that I see that Ed had was the Joker.
Well, I think Tim called him out for not having a pair even, didn't he?
He did indeed. Seen abs but no guts. The If Only GIFs worked on a podcast poster of the year. Now this one goes to New South Wales Crow. GIFs obviously don't work on a podcast, so I'm not going to try and talk you through which ones he had, but go through some of his work. It was some of the sharpest you'll see on Big Footy and absolutely brilliant. I loved it, mate. You got to keep it up, and make sure you get Skype for 2014 because we'll have you on for sure.
You've got to love those that give their all so that others may be entertained. Thank you very much, South Wales Crow.
Entertained me immensely. I'll tell you what, every time I got to a New South Wales Crow post yesterday when I was going through all the comments, it just brightened my day up just that little bit. So thanks, mate. You got me through. Now we've come to the big award. There's 5 here, so there's a 4th runner-up all the way through. The award is the Merlin Luck, sometimes no words are the best words, comment of the year. Our 4th runner-up, Freo Girl, who came in very late to the piece, but in response to news Michaela had given the dog to Ed, she simply said, didn't know Jade was hers to give.
No, yeah, I mean that comment speaks for itself. Moving right along.
Brilliant work. Freo Girl was one of my favourites this year, so make sure you keep it up for next year. Our 3rd runner-up is Jonesy86, who said one of the first weeks that Ed was nominated, I'm going to guess Ed because he doesn't want to miss the trade period. It was sharp, it was footy related, it was the right time, the right call. I loved it.
Did Ed get picked up by anybody? No?
Ed.
Maybe.
Oh, mate, if he's going to, it'd have to be Melbourne, wouldn't it? He's got to go to a basket case. So. Our 2nd runner-up, so we're getting very close now, was Igloo, who had a very succinct comment. It certainly echoes my sentiments. Caleb's workout face freaks me the expletive out.
That it did. Yes. What was going on, Caleb? You might want to have a look at that, mate.
Oh, yeah, sort that stuff out, Caleb. No good, mate. Our runner-up for this award is Jack Package. You had some of the finest work on Big Footy you're ever going to see. I hope Drew at least gets a gobby before Tully inevitably flips her shit, goes batshit insane, and attempts to scissor Tarn.
Oh, I'd pay to see that.
He has covered every base there, hasn't he?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'd give up my hard-earned.
Oh, as would I. I'd actually go out and get a Foxtel for that. Now, look, we've come down to it. It was, as I said, over 200 and something odd pages worth of comments, over 5,500 comments, and the winner of this award is the man that actually made me want to create the Comment of the Week section. So, without any further ado, the Merlin Luck, sometimes no words are the best words, Comment of the Year award goes to Vincent Chase. If Tully really was a lesbian, she'd have dominated the golf challenge.
Oh, good call. Nice one, Vincent.
Well played, Vinny. Look, it was a super year for comments on the boards. We had some fantastic commenters. Obviously, everyone that I mentioned. Sugar Shane had some crackers in there as well. Tiger Fanatic, Croof 14, Lenny 29. Look, we loved all your work, guys, and without you, we wouldn't have the podcast. So thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed the segment just a little bit.
That was awesome.
Oh,
well done.
Fantastic. And thanks for all the hard work you put in there, Phantom.
That was great,
That was
Phantom.
some real dedication.
Oh, no worries, guys. I tell you what, if you've got a spare 10 hours, just knock yourself up a nice glass of vino, sit back on the couch and just trawl through some of the comments. It's probably the best time you'll ever have in your life.
If I had a spare 10 hours, mate, I'd record this same podcast 5 times over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lovely sentiment, isn't it? And is it? Can you make a bit of an announcement regarding 2014 and going forward?
Yes, I can. They have announced that Big Brother will be back in 2014.
Hey, well done.
Around June, because they don't want to do it with daylight saving.
And can we make a bit of an announcement regarding the podcast for 2014?
Yes, I think we should. ODN, over to you.
Oh, look, we've had a lot of fun this year.
And we've had a lot of fans.
Well, listen,
our UK fans, hello.
Just chatting about our listeners for a minute. We have had a fair bit of support. We have had some regular listeners. We do get some feedback and some positive comments. We've had people from various countries, Canada, UK, of course, all the lovely people on Big Footy. Who've inspired us and given us plenty to talk about on the podcast. We really appreciate our listeners, and we hope we can do this again next year, and that you're all on board, and hopefully we'll get some fresh voices to join the three of us and talk about something that we all clearly enjoyed this season. Look, on a personal note, it's been great doing the podcast with the two of you all year. I hate to think how many hours we've put into this. As I said, 15 podcasts, and the time to research different things and watch all these shows and record it and edit it and get it up. We've certainly it's certainly been a labour of love for us, and we'd probably still would have done it if we didn't have any listeners, because we've enjoyed spending the time together, just having a chat about something that we enjoy. Mrs. ODN, you were the catalyst for getting this podcast going. You wanted to do it before the season started, and you had a whole lot of friends bail out on you. And
yeah, I did.
I'd been doing podcasts on Big Footy in other areas, and I said, well, let's get this going. And
thank God for Phantom then.
and thank God Phantom answered our cries, answered our call, and came to our rescue, because Phantom's he's been a wealth of knowledge. He's had good,
super cool guy,
great humour, very well spoken. He's got a fantastic radio voice, and I do note that he's got a fan of his voice on the boards this week. Yes, he's got a very sexy voice, Phantom.
And I'm handsome and well hung, which obviously helps in all sorts of areas. So.
Well, it helps us on the podcast to know that very
Exactly.
I have an image now.
Crucial info.
We've just been in awe of you not having known that all year. But seriously, folks, we didn't know Phantom from a bar of soap coming into this podcast.
And now he's like part of our family.
We've connected, we've clicked, and things have just flowed, and that's what it's like working with us. So hopefully other people will join into that experience next year. But thank you so much, Phantom, for joining. We wouldn't have been able to do it were it not for your input.
It's a beautiful sentiment, but I have to say the pleasure's been all mine. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. As you said, we didn't know each other when we started off this crazy journey. We didn't know how it was going to go. The first podcast, we're all a bit nervous to talk to. But look, it just speaks volumes to the level of dedication that you guys have put in. Mrs. ODN's probably the truest Big Brother fan that we have. ODN, hours and hours worth of work editing and making sure the podcasts get up every week. So I need to thank you guys for having me on. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been a wonderful experience. I look forward to doing it again with you guys next year. And as you said, anyone that does want to come on, feel free. We are just regular people who just really love talking about the show, and you'll never find two more wonderful listeners and fantastic people than ODN and Mrs. ODN. So.
Oh, getting misty-eyed here, Phantom. Don't make me hand back my man card.
Can we have a hug at some stage?
A cyber hug.
Cyber hug.
A Skype. Oh, that's so yesterday, isn't it? One thing I forgot to tell everybody that listens to is, if you think you've got what it takes, or you'd like to be another Tim, or you think you're better than Tim, or that you want to be a better Ed, Big Brother now is, they're actually taking applications now. So if you think you'd like to try out to be a housemate, you can go to bigbrother.com.au/apply. You fill in a small form and Big Brother will get back to you. So, I just thought I'd put that out there in case people are interested but didn't know how to go about.
You've actually become an official representative for Big Brother now.
Kind of, I have, yeah. I mean, it all started with the Moe the other day. I mean, no, but seriously, with all, in all honesty, I've enjoyed going to all the shows and coming back and talking about them. And I mean, I'm lucky that I have been able to go to the shows, living across the road from there. But look, it's been a pleasure, guys, and I can't wait till it comes back so we can do it all again.
Here. It's been a great season. Highs, lows, love and laughter. It's been fantastic, and it's been fantastic doing it with you guys, and it's been fantastic to have you all listening to us. Until next year, it's goodbye, Mrs. ODN.
Goodbye, everybody, and thank you to all our lovely listeners, and thank you, Phantom.
And it's a goodbye to Phantom 13.
Parting in such sweet sorrow, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it, guys. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you to all our listeners. We wouldn't do it without you, and we've loved all your comments and your feedback. And thank you, and good night, Mrs. ODN and ODN. A pleasure as always.
Thanks, mate. And it's a big good night from me, and we'll see you next year. We love yous all. Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.